Well, another artist on tonight's show, and I've seen a little bit of his work.
Yeah, colorful artist.
Colorful artist, drawings, cartoons. The guy could probably have his own comic series. Anyways, Jesus Serna is with us tonight. Yeah, we'll talk about that. See where he's going, what he's doing, and get the lowdown on how he does some of his amazing art. We are here with Jesus Serna, artist. And when people ask you the question, what kind of artist are you? What do you tell them?
Usually I always resort to cartoons, but I like to throw in graffiti because those two are kind of like the main inspirations for sure.
Have you done any graffiti work around town?
No, I have not.
Not yet. Yeah, we've had a few people on that.
Around or some of the stuff you can just go to the guy who owns the building.
Yeah. I just haven't really been looking to do that.
Sure.
But eventually.
Sure. We've had probably 3 or 4 guests that have done some big stuff in some of the downtown area. Yeah, so they've certainly crossed paths.
And it makes everything look a lot better. The right graffiti.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at some of your artwork in a little bit. But first, let me ask you this. Okay, some of the nuts and bolts. How do you make time to do all this artwork? Because I know you have other jobs to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you what's your day like when you are thinking of a day to create?
So I basically have to create every day. I have this app on my phone where it's I have certain things that I have to do every day, and art is one of them. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, like a quick pencil sketch, or just working on a bigger piece. As long as I do at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Then I feel like I accomplished something artistic-wise, but some days I do have more time to put in.
You have an app that reminds you.
Yeah.
Does it ever is it a talking app?
No, it's just one of those where it's you just check off a couple things. I have one where it's I try to read 10 pages a day. It's not just all art-related stuff. But I try to do
when you read 10 pages a day, what do you try to read?
I'd like a lot of self-improvement, a lot of
self-help
fiction
books,
and stuff like that. I do some art books. I'm getting more into art books now because they're kind of pricey when I to buy art books. So I'm I need to start buying art books.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can find some
sometimes if you get one of those. Amazon has the Kindle and Barnes and Noble has the Nook, and if you get those, you can borrow books from the.
I have a Kindle. I haven't touched it in years, but I have a bunch of. None of them are art books, but there's a lot of philosophy. I really like philosophy too.
Some art books, it's hard to adapt to that.
Yeah, especially art books.
All right. So that is you have a system to remind you.
Yeah.
Get some art done.
Yeah.
So what about in the days that you are in the mood, to do a bunch? Do you?
Oh yeah, those creative sparks just hit out of nowhere, and then I'll work on a painting maybe for 3 hours, 4 hours.
Are you a night hawk? Do you like to burn?
No, I like to be in bed by 10.
Yeah, me too.
He's with the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in bed by 10, already asleep.
Yeah, well, as I've gotten older, I like to be in bed a little bit earlier, but my natural inclination is to write and create late.
Yeah, sometimes.
Which drives my wife crazy. Yeah. She's come to bed, and it's I'm in the middle of genius.
Inspiration hits sometimes at that time, and you got to take advantage when it does, because sometimes you're not inspired, and you kind of have to force yourself, or at least I do, even if I'm not inspired. I have to force myself to do something, even if I don't like what it looks like. I'll look back at it a couple days later and be oh, this isn't as bad as I thought when I first created it.
Now, do you?
So sometimes do you wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, that's a great idea?
Not really. Sometimes I'll have dreams that kind of inspire an art piece, but not really where I just wake up and stuff. I'll usually wake up and why did I wake up and go back to sleep?
Do you have a notebook by the bed, or do you carry one around with you and when it hits to
Sometimes. I'm really bad at taking it with me out in public and stuff, but I do have a notebook. I also have another thing on the to-do list. I try to journal every day, at least a couple pages, just to get my mind.
Oh, journal. That's everyone talks about how important journaling is for a lot of reasons, but it's actually a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially if, some people say you need to journal your emotions.
Yep.
Some people say your goals, and it's like, that can be a lot of writing.
But isn't that kind of, some people say, because we talked in the show about your art and you don't like to be structured. If you're doing goals every day or inspiration,
That kind of sounds kind of structured.
Yeah, what you said is structured.
Yeah. I don't follow all the rules unless my phone says draw now.
Yeah.
You don't follow the rules unless your wife gives you the rules.
Hey, most married people understand that.
And then Peter's usually thinking a way around.
Gotta learn the rules first to
She
break
doesn't
them.
let them get away with anything.
So I've seen a variety of your work online. What size do you tend to do with either your acrylic or your drawings or your markers?
So for like pen and like pencil artwork, I usually just draw like on a sketchbook, usually a 5x7. I usually like the smaller notebooks because they're easier to fill up. But canvases, I like the 16x20 and bigger because I just like the look of giant canvases. I don't have a lot of huge canvases I paint. I have like maybe 3 in my place, but I usually like the bigger canvases than what I work on with pen and paper.
If you do colors, the colors really can come at you from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger ones.
Exactly.
Now, what would you say is your inspiration to create? I mean, is there anything in particular?
Just the idea that the more I create, the better I'm gonna get. And that just like in my mind, sometimes I have artwork that I'm like, oh, this would be a cool idea, but I can't really create it because I'm just not there artistically. So I'm like, if I just keep working on, like anatomy or like trying to get this better at colors and stuff, as long as I keep doing something every day, it'll eventually gradually add up.
Sure.
Compound.
You
stuff.
definitely build on skills.
Mm-hmm.
I looked into trying to figure out how you do the whole color thing and different shades and stuff. It's really very complicated. There's on one level you probably think, oh, it's simple, but it's like getting things to shadow properly or look like it's farther off in the distance, and the changes in the degradation of colors. Just there's so much to that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not just like taking a bucket of paint and throwing it against the wall.
Although I've seen some artists do that.
Yeah,
one.
Jackson Pollock, I think. Yeah, he did that.
Jackson Pollock did that.
So I saw on your website you do take some commissions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kinds of things would be sort of typical if someone was going to ask you to do something for them?
Most of them have been a lot of graphic design, like logos or designs for like albums and stuff. But
so do you do the designs, or do they give you an idea?
they'll give me like some idea sometimes, but sometimes they'll be like, "Can you just do this?" Like they'll give me like an idea, like without like a sketch or whatever, and they just let me freehand it or whatever.
Oh,
wow,
neat.
Yeah, that's that sounds like that's a whole skill set in itself as well. Trying to take something as an idea in your mind and get it all the way to a completed project. Do you ever like when you draw something, you ever look at it and like go, nah, totally missed it?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of those sometimes. Yeah, it always starts out that way, but once I complete it, 9 times out of 10 I'll like it. But it's always like when it's 80% done, I don't like it. It's really weird how I don't really like the art piece until it's done.
So what gives you the inspiration? Like you're 80% done and you're not.
And I'm not like it. It's just
then how do you inspire yourself to finish this? Most of the time you're gonna get it right. Or?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, if I just keep pushing through, I know I'm gonna like it at the end. And most of the time it does. It's usually just like putting the pieces together where you can see once it's all put together, it looks good.
Do you have a sense? How do you decide when something's done? Because it seems like artists in general, there's a little bit of a mindset of I can make this a little bit better. I
Yep.
can make it a tad better. I can do it a little bit better.
This
As
is
a matter of
one of
fact, that's
Peter's
a good
long
question.
questions that he does to end the.
Yeah, and
think
so
about it for us.
yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Jesus tell us how he decides when something is actually finished.
If Peter remembers the question.
There's a small chance of it. Welcome back to the third chair. I'm Peter. He's still Doug. I checked his ID, and we have Jesus Serna with us.
Still
When we left off, I asked him to think about the question, and my partners here didn't think I'd remember, so I'm going to give it a shot. The whole idea, and I've seen artists struggle with this. How do you know, or when do you decide that a piece is finished?
So I have like it's kind of like structured again how I do my art. I'll start with a sketch, and then I'll lay down the colors. This is like if I'm doing a painting. It's like pencil, then the colors, and then the final outlines. So I tell myself as long as I get those done, then it's done. If I want to add anything extra after that, it's because I think it makes the piece more complete. But if I do those 3 steps and I don't feel like it needs anything, I'll just put varnish on it and it's done. Because I'm always in the mindset of wanting to work on the next thing too, so I don't try to put too many things on something and spend too much time on it either.
Oh, that's really interesting. So it sounds like it's very practical in terms of wrapping something up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some interesting studies that have been done when one group of artists were just told to do one project really, really well, and another one has said, like, do as many as you can. Mm-hmm. And when you compare them at the end, the group that is just told to do as many as possible will have 4 or 5 in there that they think are spectacular, versus the one that gets all the attention for a long time. And it's good, but it's the whole idea that doing a bunch of art makes you better and be able to produce more good art. So I mean, I think that kind of fits with what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like wrapping
the
it up.
audience could follow you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm you know, so it's late.
It's late.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're
No
gonna
snoring on set.
we're gonna talk about cartoon art. Have you ever thought about doing a comic strip or something like that with your art? Or
Yeah, eventually. Actually, that's like one of the first things I did when I started drawing. Maybe when I was like 5 or 4 years old. I would get some notebook paper, fold it in half, draw little boxes, and make little cartoon comics.
did you ever like start a cartoon series when you were doing this? Or
Yeah, just like for me though, and like I had like this superhero comic book. His name was Hero, really
Hero.
creative.
Hero.
Yeah. And it was
original.
yeah.
Hero.
And it was basically just like a bunch of comics of him just like fighting evil and stuff. They're just like really terribly drawn, but I still have them to this day, and I just like to look at them and just. That's like the thing going back. If I keep doing art, I'm just gonna get better. So if I look at my art now and I think it's okay and good, then I can only imagine if I keep doing it, what it'll look like in 10 years from now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you've got to expect to grow and get better. I mean, it doesn't happen by osmosis.
Yeah, that's Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book and said if you do something for 10,000 hours, you become proficient at it.
But that's for very, very elite people too. You can get
Elite
good with
people.
less than 10,000, but yeah, you know, if you're the world's best concert violinist, yeah, you're going to put in 10,000 hours.
Well, he said that he in his book he had examples of the Beatles and Bill Gates.
Sure.
Bill Gates used to sneak out every night and go to the local college and work on their computers all night and then come home at 4 a.m. and sneak back in the house and pretend he was sleeping all night.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's stories of basketball players like Jordan and others that they would practice for 3 hours before the practice.
Yeah.
Well, some of that's just the willingness to do the work. Like basketball players say, I want to be the next Jordan.
Yeah.
Do you want to put in the hours that he put in to be
10,000 free throws and all that.
Yeah.
10,000 layups.
Yeah, and who knows how many paintings Picasso
Yeah.
did. I've lost track.
Well, I went to the Van Gogh Museum and you talked about artists because he had no training. He started being an artist at 30, and some people say he's the best artist of all time. But
Van Gogh?
Yeah, but he had a lot of paintings. I mean, he was just doing paintings all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly of himself because he was that was the only model he could afford.
A tad narcissistic.
No, not a
and,
tad.
and that was done probably without a mirror, or did they have mirrors back then?
I think they had mirrors.
I think they had mirrors.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'd have to look at his reflection
The
in a
reason
lake.
why is because he couldn't afford a model,
Oh. Okay.
so he did himself. And I seen a lot of drawings of himself, and he would experiment on them. I mean, he didn't do like the same look every time.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
I like his work.
You like Van Gogh's work?
Yeah, I like a lot of artists' work. I try to take in every kind of art, even if it's like that weird abstract stuff that you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I like that stuff too.
Yeah, like
Some of it I think is interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I some of it I find very interesting too. I look at it, I go like, what the hell is that?
Some of it comes out this looking.
Well, that's how all my sketches for film
Oh
work.
man.
I just call it abstract. I don't say a thing about it.
Yeah, the world's worst handwriting. Our producer, and
Yes, it is.
Stickman. Yeah, yeah.
And then his stickmen are crooked.
And they're thieves as well.
That's the style.
So have you ever wanted to do the ultimate goal is do a graphic novel?
I think the ultimate goal would be a full-length animation.
A full
Like a
length
movie,
animation?
yeah, like a full-length animation movie.
Have you had any ideas pop in your head about that, or
Not really. I messed around with some ideas, but they kind of feel uncreative, so I'm just kind of writing some stuff down, and maybe one day I'll get the right one.
would
Yeah,
you work with a writer or somebody like that, or
Nah.
you would try to do it on your own?
I would work with a writer eventually, but now it's just like one of those things where
Yeah,
I don't know where to start, so I'm not going to start it anytime soon.
We were at a film festival where there was this high school student that did a full, like a 10-minute, 15-minute animated film, and he did it all on his cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
There was some programs on his cell phone and some apps on his cell phone. And it was like really amazing what he was able to do. It took him a couple of years, but literally just on his cell phone.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
he'd do it a cell at a time, and it would take him like 2 or 3 hours before with each drawing. But he would, he made a pretty good cartoon with that. People were in the audience
It was
laughing.
very clever, yeah. Do you use the thing that can go to your computer?
Yeah,
like
the tablet things. Yeah, I have
tablet
one.
thing. Yeah,
I have one.
we're talking really technical here for the audience. Yeah, the tablet thing.
So is there a movie that has inspired you to want to do?
I don't really have like a specific movie, but I did like a lot of 90s shows, cartoon shows, like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. That's mainly what inspired me, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff with monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you incorporate any of the Yu-Gi-Oh or
yeah.
manga kind of ideas in your?
Oh yeah, I throw a
I
lot
thought a few.
of 90s for sure,
a lot of-
cartoons.
Sure, yeah. One of our guests, Julia, who we've had on a few times, also she draws mermaids and stuff. Very much likes that style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A graphic novel. Now, my understanding of a graphic novel, it's like mainly kind of a big book of one story with lots of animation, a lot of cartoons.
Yeah.
what's sort of the balance or the ratio of the writing, or is it more like a formal cartoon where you just have the bubbles and a little bit of narration?
Yeah.
Or is there like story typed out with it as well?
All of them.
Yeah, I think a little bit.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean,
All of the above.
all the above. I mean, the
So-
graphic novels, they are very creative with them.
Mhm.
Why do they call them graphic? Maybe we should answer
Because-
that after we come
Because you
back from
draw
the break.
things,
Okay.
and a lot of the story is.
Don't ruin it before the audience, before the commercial.
I mean, because when I think of graphic, it's like you're drawing something scary, like The Exorcist, or, or something like that. But we'll get your take on a graphic novel when we come right back. Real people, real stories, real life. We're looking for guests. We're looking for you here on the third chair. I'm Peter, that's Doug, and how many different ways can we have guests?
Oh, at least 3. We can have them here in the studio in Colorado Springs. We've had guests all the way from LA on Zoom, and we have gone on location, and we got our 3rd one already in the planning phase.
Awesome. Send us an email and we'll get you on the show.
Welcome back. There's Peter, who asked a big question, and Jesus, who is going to answer it, and it's about graphic novels, why they call them graphic.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it was like they're horrible, scary pictures, but apparently I'm wrong.
I mean, basic, well, let's say here, Jesus's definition.
Well, you could have a graphic novel. I
You
guess.
could have a graphic
Yes.
novel, yeah.
Yes.
But I
But
mean,
you could have a girly graphic novel
yeah,
there,
there you
too.
go. See,
Yeah, you could have an Amish romance graphic novel.
See? Yeah, anything.
Okay.
See, you're getting it.
I'm beginning to get it. I'm not the sharpest tool in the sky.
I think a graphic novel. Well, for me, when we started mentioning, I think of this graphic novel called Bone. It's like this little cartoon character, and he
Oh,
goes on
I
like
read-
this. He went
I
on
read
like an
all that.
adventure and stuff. It's like
I
multiple.
got the whole set for $5
Really?
at a garage sale.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, Doug, my co-host, has read Bone. What has this show
Well,
become?
I haven't, so I want to hear more.
Okay, tell us about Bone.
It's this little cartoon character, and I think I only read like the first one because I got it at like a book fair when I was real young, and I just couldn't afford to get the rest of the series when I was little. But he's on a quest to, just like the stereotypical quest where he's trying to save the world from domination and stuff, and it's really
Right.
cool. It's really colorful, bright. Really liked it. Kind of inspired me too to want to do graphic novels because of that one.
Do you have a theme of a graphic novel that you'd like to do? I mean, artist takes over the world.
I don't know. For some reason, I always think it would be cool to have like a kid who gets lost in some kind of like an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, where a kid gets lost in like some weird world, which is at the end just like his own imagination. But that's kind of what I would want to do. Something like psychedelic and trippy for sure.
You know, one of the first cartoons, comic strips, like way back hundreds of years ago. Well, not hundreds, but when like early 1910s was Little Nemo in Slumberland.
Little Nemo and Snowman? What is that?
It was a comic strip, and this boy would dream every night that he was in this fantasy land, and some of it was like that.
Okay.
And then he'd wake up like falling off the bed or something because he's living the dream while sleeping.
That kind of reminds me of, there was another one. I don't think it was a comic, but it was just like a book for kids. It was called like David, or it was like some little kid with the purple crayon, and everything he drew with that purple crayon.
Harold.
Yeah, there we go. It
Oh, I
reminds me of
loved that book when I was a
Yeah.
kid.
I like
Harold.
that too.
See,
Man, we read very different books.
Harold was around when we were kids because I read it when I was in the. I loved Harold.
Yeah, I loved it too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
And these guys were kids when Moses was a kid.
no, I mean the cartoons I remember that I really liked were the Hanna-Barbera,
Yeah, I love
Space Ghost, Birdman, the Herculoids, and it wasn't just like happy themes. It was like people taking on villains with serious hand-to-hand combat and things being blown up. It was great.
Yep. Looney Tunes, that was probably one of my favorites.
Looney
Like Tom and
Tunes,
Jerry, like
yeah.
all those.
Peter can sing the Looney Tunes song.
Yeah, I probably could, but we'll save that for another episode.
But only on the breaks. So no one-
Yeah, because it's probably still copyrighted.
Yeah,
It
for
was
sure.
a great song.
I just don't want to destroy the ears of our audience.
You know the number one cartoon they voted about 20 years ago. The number one cartoon short was Bugs Bunny. What's Opera Doc?
Yeah?
Yeah,
I love Bugs Bunny.
He does Wagner's Ring Trilogy with Elmer Fudd in like 7 minutes.
Well,
and it's hilarious.
Yeah, my favorite cartoon is only 15 seconds long. It's called Godzilla versus Bambi.
I saw that one.
Yeah. There's sweet music. Little Bambi comes out, and then the scary music, and this giant foot comes down.
Oh, man.
and crushes
That's
Bambi.
the end of the movie.
That's the end of the cartoon.
I love Godzilla, too.
Oh, Godzilla!
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Well, Godzilla made a deer burger instantly.
Yeah, that was the.
A deer smash burger.
Yeah, but that was named in the top 50 in this book I read with What's Opera Doc was Bambi versus
I mean,
Godzilla.
wasn't Mickey Mouse or any of the Disney early cartoons in the running?
Yeah, Turkey in the Straw. I think there was a couple of other ones.
Yeah. Of course, animation back then was so different. They would do like one panel at a time on a.
Honestly, I like that style of animation more than the new kind. I think it probably would take like a million years, but I would want to do like you draw every single frame. I just don't like the look of new animation where it's like you move the cells, like it's like a character is basically like a puppet, and then you just like record it and move it a little bit. It's kind of like a puppet, like claymation.
Yeah.
I like the old stuff where you like flip through or whatever on each individual page. I like that look. How it looks. It looks cool.
Well, it definitely has
pretty
a
neat look. Yes.
You look at it. Well, it sure takes a lot longer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Disney had a big staff.
Well, now there's talk of AI being able to generate drawings, fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, in seconds. My son-in-law, future son-in-law, does that. He'll type Abraham Lincoln like a duck, and there are 6 of them that come up.
Yep.
And he's like, "Oh, I like that one. I can play with that one." And he just likes to play with it. I mean, he doesn't sell them or anything.
I put some of those on the show. Type in like Doug B. Auditor. 8 feet tall. You see what it was generating? Yeah, with big beard and a hat.
Well, we don't have to make Peter tiny because Duggan already did that in an editing class.
Yeah.
We made Peter like 1,000 raindrops.
Oh man.
That's because you left and we could do whatever we wanted.
I thought of that because we did that, and I was watching Ant-Man and Wasp.
Oh.
Yesterday. And they made like 400, in this one scene they made like 300 Ant-Mans at once. And I know how they did that. We did that with Peter.
Yeah. Well, do you use other technology to, you sound like you have a hankering for old school, but do you, what kind of technology now do you use to help you with your art?
Other than like the drawing tablet?
Yeah.
I'll use my phone sometimes. That's more to like edit pictures and put on Instagram and stuff. But other than that, it's mainly just brushes, pens, and.
So you really haven't like messed with the whole AI or the.
No, not really a big fan of
computer generated graphics.
Do you sell some of your photos, or you try to sell some of your?
Yeah, I try to sell my paintings and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a few on the website. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll get that information out later on.
Well, segment 4 is next, and we're going to look at some of his work.
Yeah. How do you decide what you're going to charge for a print of your work? Do you just look what everyone else is doing, or
a little bit of that, and then how much time I think I spent on it, and then also materials, and then how much. If I really like the piece, I might bring it up a little bit, because some pieces I'm like, man, the day I sell this, if it ever sells, I'm gonna be sad. So I'll mark it up just a little bit just because of that.
Yeah, we've talked with some artists that talk like, their artwork is like their baby,
Yeah.
or their pet dog.
Yeah.
And they really don't want to get rid of it.
Oh, no, I wish I could get rid of everything so then I can like clear up all my walls and start anew. Like I wish it would all just like I don't have a problem selling it.
So do you have a painting like that you've done that say, oh, I really love the way I did that?
There is
got
one
a favorite child.
Yep, that's the one that sits like right behind me on my computer desk. It's like it's kind of like a pop art kind of a montage of popular 90s cartoons, and it's really colorful, and it's just like one of my favorite pieces I did maybe 2 years ago.
Well, it seems like at least several of the guests we've had are more excited about selling prints of their art as opposed to the originals.
Yeah, I feel like originals would be more exciting, but I don't have too many prints right now. I think once I have a bigger following or just sell more, I would do more prints. I only have maybe like 2 different kinds of prints. But I just don't want to have a million prints just like sitting at my place and then never sell, so I try to keep it limited where...
Sure, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And they do add up.
And
like
prints cost money.
Yeah, exactly.
Too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
someone get back.
we're going to look at some of your artwork.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Welcome back to the third chair. I'm Peter. There's Doug, and we're here with Jesus, and we're going to show some of his artwork and have him comment on it and give us any thoughts on either special techniques, a special meaning or inspiration, just anything he wants to talk about with respect to what he's created. So here's the first one. Now, I saw on the website this is called Beauty in Color.
Yep. So one inspiration for my art is women. I really like to draw women.
Yeah, you're not alone.
So I'm like, this is like really weird, but when I be drawing women on like a sketchbook or even just like a painting, if they don't look how I want them to look, then I'll like draw it all over again. They have to have like a certain look. Like the eyes need to be perfect, the nose need to be perfect, at least like to me. And this was one of those where it's like the first painting that I did of a girl face on a larger canvas. And I just wanted to incorporate like the different colors how I do with all my other pieces and kind of do that with like a lady face.
I was so impressed at how the eyes pop out and kind of capture you. Was that an intentional thing, or was that just an afterthought that looked really cool?
I think it did just kind of happen. Because I think it's just like the white kind of makes it pop out, and like that's like the part where the most black is too, so maybe that makes it stick out from the rest of like all the other colors.
Yeah. Now, did you do this from memory or a photograph of somebody, or did you have a live model sitting in your living room?
Usually I just go on like Pinterest or Google and just look up like lady face, and then like there's like Pinterest is like the perfect place for references. And I don't try to draw the reference 100% ever, like for anything. I always try to add like my own spin, change up a couple things. So
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure somebody on the internet probably looks like this, even if it wasn't the reference that I did.
Sure. There's a site called Pixels. I don't know if you ever heard of that
I don't
one.
think so.
Pixels. That has hundreds of free stock photos.
Okay.
And so you can type in something you're looking for, and you can even download them for free.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, and you worked in quite a bit of purple in that. Is there something special about the purple for you in this?
So the way I do colors is I'll usually start with maybe 3, and then I'll lay those 3 out. Like I'll start with one color, make a portion of it that color, then I'll add some more. I try not to get the same colors to touch, which is like a weird thing that I like to do. So it's like if there's green in one little section of the painting, I don't want the next section to have green too. I feel like that kind of helps disperse like the view of like the entire painting. So, and I guess purple is just one of the ones that kind of popped out the most. When I do these, there's always one color that always pops out the most once I'm done and like get it all sealed up, which I don't usually have like an idea that that's gonna happen.
Do you do oil as well as acrylic?
Not yet. I do want to mess with them though.
Yeah, all right, very good. Okay, this is another one. This is called DigiDoodles 22 Metal Print. So,
Awesome.
what's a metal print?
So I actually got this custom printed. You can do this at Michael's and like other stores and stuff, online and stuff, where you just upload your graphic design, or you could even do photos and stuff and get it printed on metal or glass.
Oh,
And I always just thought that would look cool, and I figured I'm just gonna get my doodle that I did. This doodle I actually just drew on a Twitch stream. I did like one Twitch stream like a really long time ago.
oh wow.
And I drew this out while I was doing the live stream, and then I colored it later. And I never got back on Twitch, but I figured I'm not gonna not do anything with this print, so I figured I'm gonna print it on some metal and see how it looks, and it came out really cool.
So what does Twitch stream do?
It's really for like gamers and stuff who live stream them playing games. There's some artists on there too, but it's not.
So you can watch people
Yeah.
play?
Yeah. I mean, you can also
okay.
live stream YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what about the content of that? I mean, there's the characters of these.
So this is one of those where I want to say maybe 70% of the time I freehand stuff without a reference or anything. I just let my mind draw whatever it can, and a lot of it's just like weird monsters and like food and just like little symbols and stuff, and that's kind of like what this one is. There's not really anything like, there's no like meaning. A lot of these doodles sometimes don't have meaning. It's just like I'm gonna sit down.
So this is not a high meaning doodle.
No.
An HMD, high meaning doodle. This is be closer to an LMD, low meaning
Yeah.
doodle. Yeah.
It's my notes in the scripts that are high mean.
No, it's a par.
You know,
Play around pad. Play around.
Yeah, there we go. See.
you know, and now that you told me about that other rule about the colors not touching, I'm looking at that and I'm seeing it. That you've like the light blue, you've got very divided up.
Yeah.
Between the hat up in the top left or his head, whatever, and the guy with the big nose and the claws or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and the yellow's very discreetly separated, and the orange. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's usually what I like to do. Sometimes I'll get some colors that touch, but if one color is like touching the other, I'll either put in another color that seems to make sense, and then I'll end up with more colors than what I initially started with, or I'll just keep it sometimes. But the more colors, I think, the better.
Now, something I observed, and I don't know if I'm right about this, because I'm apparently, according to my kids, wrong a lot. It seems like some of your art is really, I don't know if busy is the right word or crammed in. It seems like there's something going on almost in every square centimeter. Is that intentional?
Honestly, I think that's how my mind is. I think my mind just feel like with a million things, so I think that's kind of like
It's on the pitch.
indication of like how my mind is at the time.
Yeah, I think that's a good representation of Doug's mind when it comes to baseball trivia. It's kind of packed in and all around like that. Yeah. All right, let's go to one other one here, and this is of all the ones I saw. Honestly, this I thought for me was my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, of the ones you did, and here it is: Absurd Appetite. with some.
Well, of course, the word appetizer.
Yeah, but it looked like some carnivore eating animal or something.
You're thinking about another sandwich, aren't you?
Well, yes, I am a
Those
carnivore.
were good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad you picked this one because this is honestly one of like the weirdest paintings I think I came up with.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
We talked about a graphic novel. You can make a graphic novel around that character.
the other way,
Yeah,
he could be
yeah,
one of the
that-
villains, right?
a villain
Yeah.
or a hero, saver of the universe.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
gives off that initial villain look, but then you realize he's a real sweet guy or guys, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so how did this one come about?
So this one actually got inspired by there's an artist out here in Colorado. His name is A. Brooks Art, and he does a lot of like weird faces just like mushed together, and that kind of inspired me to do this. But I wanted to add like limbs and like extra stuff. And honestly, I can't really tell you how a lot of like the stuff came up because a lot of it's like in the moment. And I was like, I want to make this as weird as possible, so I just did like the many faces and like all the other weird stuff. I'm like, what would make this more weird? Just gave them private parts and then like the stretched ear when we're reading like a little menu from a restaurant. I don't know. I just wanted to make it as weird and something that you didn't really see in my other paintings.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by that. I mean, it's like, that could be like on the back of a deck of playing cards or something. I think that would be great. Yeah, that'd be great. And was there any special message that you were trying to portray with this?
No, really. I guess just like,
Weirdness.
being weird, and there's nothing wrong with being weird. The weirder, the better.
Well, and I mean, it's
We're
really
in good
creative.
company then, gentlemen.
Yeah, I am. And the teeth on the top there. Anything special about that, or is that just
This
part
one?
of the monster? Yeah.
I'd like to do a lot of sharp teeth. I have like a weird thing where I like to draw my cartoons with teeth, like sharp, or one gold tooth in one of them, or a hole in the tooth, or just like missing teeth. I don't know why. It's also one of those weird reoccurring dreams that I have where my teeth fall out.
Oh.
So I don't know if like that's why I incorporated it to my art. So
Oh, man,
Another one of
that's
those
a
weird
horror
things.
movie. Yeah, follow. Have you done any drawing of like classical kind of stuff that'd be considered horror movie stuff, like vampires?
like have I drawn any stuff like that?
Werewolves, the Mummy, whatever.
I've painted those kind of like monsters and stuff before. My sister commissioned me a couple years ago to do like just like famous monster movies, just like a little montage, and it was kind of like this, just like a montage of their faces and stuff. Horror movies are kind of like my favorite kind of movies to watch, honestly. And I don't really watch a lot of movies.
The horror movies. Yeah, and by horror do you mean with a lot of blood and gore, or more that are
He's going
suspenseful?
to tell us when we get back.
We'll ask that when we come back. Hi, I'm Peter from Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching, and as you know, I do help people with drug and alcohol recovery issues. I love to help people get better, but I also offer a variety of other services, including regular life coaching services. I've helped several people write and finish a book. I've helped a doctor that was in medical school graduate and then get into a residency. And I also actually have quite a background in mathematics, and I do some math tutoring for the GED as well as the ASVAB for those that are thinking about a career in the military. So my contact information is on the screen. Please send me an email or a text, and we can talk about some of these services and how I can help. That's Peter Grigg at Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching. Welcome back to the third chair. I'm Peter, that's Doug, and this is Jesus. And the last segment, I asked something about horror movies before time ran out. What was
What
I asking?
kind of horror movies does he like? Blood and gore?
Or more the psychological thriller with that everything's suspenseful and you don't know what's going to happen.
So I think hands down my favorite horror movie is the Saw series. The
The
Jigsaw.
Saw series. Oh man.
I never saw it.
You never saw
that's a
it?
Peter joke.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw.
Yeah. They some of those movies were actually pretty creative in terms of the
traps and stuff.
The traps and stuff. Yeah.
That's why I liked it. It's kind of creative, and it was just like different than your average, monster slasher movie. So I think that's why I liked it. And I like the psychological that you had to kind of pay attention to what was going on, or else it wouldn't really make sense.
Now, I've seen parts of some of them, but weren't there times where people could sort of figure out how to get out of a trap?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were ways, but like people never did very often. Yeah, run out of time. Yeah, and so. Do you see, after watching the Saw movies, do you think you would be able to, like, cartoon that out?
Maybe. Maybe just, like, draw the characters as, like, cartoons, but I don't really know how I could incorporate horror outside of that. I don't really like to draw blood and gore and stuff like that, but, I mean, I'll watch it in the Saw movies.
Yeah, that's like me saying I like to look at food, but I really don't like to be on a diet.
I thought you were going to say you didn't like to eat it.
Yeah, no.
Well, no.
So, Jesus, you have a website, and I assume you are looking for customers or commissions.
Yep.
What places can people find your work, and how would you like them to connect with you?
So the easiest way to reach me is my Instagram through DMs. It's at js93.art. That's also my website, just js93.art. And then same with my YouTube. They're all just the same handle. But you can reach me easiest on Instagram for sure.
JS. So Jesus Serna,
Dot
93.
Yep.
Were you born in 93? Dot art.
Yep.
Okay. And like, if someone wanted you to draw a commission, like, what's sort of the process for that?
Usually get the idea. I actually had somebody message me the other day about a commission. They wanted some custom jeans. They wanted 90s cartoons on them, so he's gonna send over the jeans. Then he's gonna paint them and then send them back. But usually I would need like an initial deposit, just to make sure that, they don't flake out and my time has been wasted. So I'll ask for a deposit. We get the idea going. I'm pretty good about messaging back and forth about the idea before I get started on it. And then just mail it out, mail it back, or send it to them if they're nearby.
Called me old school. I find it so weird that people do primary business by direct messaging on Instagram. I saw you did some work on running shoes. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, you did cartoons on running shoes. So so that's something you if someone wanted, they could get done too.
Yeah, I saw pairs those shoes at on a table that you ran at an art show.
Yeah,
those are pretty unique.
Thank you. Those were that was like the first pair I painted, and I did those just for fun. I was like, I just want to see how my cartoons would look on shoes. And then the second time I painted some, I actually made a YouTube video on it. An old coworker, he wanted some custom Ed, Edd n Eddy shoes. That's like a 90s cartoon. He wanted those characters on some shoes, and those came out pretty cool too. So I'll do like shoes, jeans, canvases, graphic design.
Now, I know you also sell prints of some of your work, and you have a website for that?
Yeah, js93.art. I'll also have a Teespring, but I don't know the link to that one. But it's just
Teespring. I don't know what that is.
It's like a website where you upload designs, and then people can order apparel, like shirts or...
Oh, and they put the designs on?
Yeah, and then they do the printing and send it out, so...
He's going to send the producer the information about
we'll put it on the screen.
And we'll put it on the screen.
Cool. Well...
In fact, it's actually been on the screen already.
Well, that's how fast he is. Anyways, thank you for being here. We've found out you've graciously agreed to stay to return next week. So in the meantime, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell icon so you know when we've uploaded another episode. And good night from the third chair.
Thank you
guys.